It's time. Everything you've been through was building you for this moment. And now, nothing can stop what's meant for you. You're here because something beyond you decided it was time. This message is not for everyone, it's for the few who are finally ready. If you found this, it's because you've crossed the invisible line that separates waiting from arrival. And now, something powerful is about to be revealed. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you step into it, you cannot step back. This is the moment you've been quietly moving toward your entire life. And whether you realize it or not, you've already chosen it. And what comes next won't arrive with fireworks. It will arrive quietly, on a day that looks like nothing at all. The world is obsessed with big dates, dramatic events, and headlines screaming about change. But that's the trick. Those are distractions. Real turning points never announce themselves. They arrive disguised as ordinary hours, and yet, if you're aligned, they can change everything. That's why the message you've just received isn't random. It's a doorway. In just a few hours, its meaning will peak, and you may feel something shift inside you, an opening, a realization, a chance you didn't see before. By tomorrow, the path that felt blocked could suddenly break wide open. This isn't a warning, it's an activation, the kind of activation that only finds you when you're ready to claim it. But before it happens, there's something you need to understand, because if you miss it, the chance may never return. Everything you've been through wasn't random. Every setback, every delay, every heartbreak, it all carried a hidden purpose. The universe has been preparing you for this exact moment, long before you even realized it. While you were asking why things had to be so difficult, the truth is that you were being shaped into someone who could carry what others cannot. The struggles you faced weren't punishments. They were divine training. Every time you thought you were at the end of your strength, you were only being stretched into more. Every closed door, every betrayal, every sleepless night was a piece of a larger design. Your pain was not wasted, it was preparation. And now, all of those tests are converging. What once felt like endless waiting has been building to a point. That point is now. This is the moment you've unknowingly been rehearsing for your entire life, and the signal has finally arrived. Have you ever wondered why your path has always felt heavier than everyone else's? Why nothing seemed to come easily, while others appeared to move effortlessly through life? It's because you were never meant to be ordinary. Ordinary roads could never carry you to an extraordinary destiny. Every rejection you endured was not a failure, but a redirection. Every loss you suffered was carving out space for something greater. The loneliness you felt, the confusion that followed you like a shadow, it wasn't a curse. It was sharpening your awareness, forcing you to listen to what others ignored. You were not being broken, you were being built. Think of a diamond. At first, it is nothing more than dark carbon, hidden deep in the earth. Only through pressure and fire does it become something priceless. That is you. Every hardship you've carried was pressure. Every test was fire. And now, after everything, you are finally ready to shine in the way you were always meant to. You've spent years waiting. This is the day you run out of excuses. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when the timing feels right. I'll move when I see the sign. That's the trap. Waiting for the perfect sign is the universe's most clever delay, and it's kept you circling in the same loop over and over again. The truth is, the sign was never going to be fireworks in the sky or some mystical hand pointing the way. It was always going to be something simple, something plain. And that's why today matters, because nothing special is happening. No cosmic event to hide behind, no drama to distract you. Just an ordinary day that looks like any other. But that's the brilliance of it. This is the moment the universe clears the noise, clears your calendar, and leaves you face to face with yourself. No more excuses, no more "I'll do it tomorrow." The stage is empty, and it's finally your turn to step into it. Think about it. All those times you begged for clarity, all those nights you prayed for the right moment, you thought it would come wrapped in thunder. But what if the true test was whether you would recognize opportunity when it showed up disguised as silence? The boring day you've been waiting for is the stage you are meant to shine on. This isn't the season of waiting anymore. That chapter is closed. The waiting was the preparation, the holding pattern was the training. Now the only thing left is the action that transforms everything. And that action is not tomorrow. It begins the second you decide that waiting is no longer your story. Every chosen one eventually learns the same lesson. Your power doesn't come from following the script, it comes from tearing it up. Look around. Most people live on autopilot. They accept what they're told, they move with the herd, and they never stop to ask if any of it is real. That was never meant for you. You weren't designed to blend in, you were designed to disrupt. Chosen ones are not here to agree with the world, they are here to challenge it. Think about it. Every great shift in history started because someone dared to say, "What if they're all wrong?" It was the contrarians who questioned the rules, who refused to accept the way it's always been, who broke away from the comfort of the crowd. And every time you've done that in your own life, no matter how small, you've been practicing for this moment. Maybe you were the one who spoke up in a room full of silence. Maybe you were the one who walked away from a group everyone else begged to be part of. Maybe you were the one who refused the easy road because something deep inside told you there was more. At the time, it cost you relationships, status, comfort, but that's because you were never built for comfort. You were built for truth. Your refusal to follow the herd wasn't rebellion, it was recognition. Recognition that you could see what others couldn't. Recognition that blending in would mean erasing yourself. Recognition that silence in a world of lies is complicity. And you have never been here to comply, you've been here to confront. So here's your challenge. Stop treating your disagreements like inconveniences and start treating them like instructions. Every time your soul recoils against the script, that's not resistance, that's guidance. That is your inner compass pointing you toward your real path. Think about the small things you've never questioned. The routines you repeat because that's just how it's done. The beliefs you inherited without ever asking if they were yours. What happens when you pick one of those today and flip it? What happens when you stop eating the food you were taught to eat? Stop chasing the definition of success you never even chose. Stop living the rhythm everyone else is trapped in. Contrarian energy isn't about fighting for the sake of fighting. It's about realigning with the truth that most people are too afraid to face. That fear you feel when you go against the grain? That's not a warning, it's proof you're about to uncover something powerful. The majority is almost always comfortable, and comfort is the enemy of destiny. This is why your path has felt so isolating at times. The chosen always find themselves on roads nobody else wants to walk. Not because you're broken, but because you're being pulled ahead of the crowd. And the further ahead you walk, the louder the voices behind you will call you crazy, reckless, lost. That's fine. Let them call it what they want. The same world that mocks the contrarian today will thank them tomorrow when the truth finally arrives. So here's the truth you need to hear. The world doesn't need your agreement, it needs your defiance. Not reckless rebellion, but sacred resistance. The courage to ask, why? The boldness to walk away from lies. The willingness to carry the burden of being misunderstood, because you know that being understood was never the goal, impact was. And maybe that's the real reason you're watching this now, because you've reached the threshold where your silence costs more than your rebellion, where fitting in would mean self-betrayal, where the choice isn't between blending in and standing out anymore, it's between living a lie or living your mission. You don't find your power by agreeing, you find it the moment you finally dare to disagree. You'll make one move tomorrow, and it will create a domino effect. Here's what separates the chosen from everyone else. Most people live their lives stuck in their head, making plans, dreaming, promising themselves they'll act when the conditions are right. They mistake intention for movement. But the universe doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards bold action. Every breakthrough in history, every turning point in destiny happened because someone made a move on a day that looked painfully ordinary. And that's the paradox most people miss. They think greatness begins on grand occasions, under the spotlight. But no, the greatest chain reactions begin in silence, on days no one expects. Days just like tomorrow. Days when everyone else shrugs, calls it nothing special, and slips back into the cycle. One choice, made in stillness, can echo louder than 1,000 plans whispered in fear. Think about a single domino. On its own, it doesn't look like much, fragile even, but when it tips, it doesn't just fall. It releases a chain reaction that can topple walls, clear paths, and set impossible things in motion. That's what tomorrow represents. The first domino. The one move that looks small to everyone else, but to you, it's the ignition switch. It could be as simple as saying yes, where you've always said no. Or finally, daring to speak a truth you've swallowed for years. Or even just making the decision to stop waiting and start moving. The move itself almost doesn't matter. What matters is that you make it. Because the energy of the chosen doesn't come from thinking, it comes from momentum. The difference between the forgotten and the remembered is this. The forgotten waited, the remembered acted. When you act, the universe doesn't just notice, it responds. Doors you never knew existed swing open, conversations arrive at the perfect moment, people you thought were lost resurface, and opportunities align like they were waiting on you all along. That's the chain reaction. That's the law no one talks about. The world bends to the ones who dare to move first. So tomorrow, don't underestimate the power of your choice. It won't just be another tick on the calendar. It will be the moment the first domino falls and the chain reaction begins. And once it starts, nothing can stop it. There comes a moment when you stop searching for who you're supposed to be and finally remember who you already are. For so long, the world has trained you to wear masks. From childhood, you were taught to smile when you were hurting, to nod when you disagreed, to shrink yourself just to keep the peace. You've been handed scripts about success, happiness, even love, scripts that were never written for you, but you played along anyway. And maybe at times, you even convinced yourself that was your true face. But deep down, you always knew that wasn't you. It never was. The truth is, you were never designed to blend in. You were never supposed to fit the mold. The chosen ones are always the outliers, the misfits, the ones who feel out of place in every crowd. And yet for years, you carried the weight of believing that was a flaw. But what if the very thing you thought was broken in you was the proof that you've been set apart. Being different was never your curse, it was your confirmation. Now the layers of conditioning are peeling away. The fear that kept you quiet is dissolving. The guilt that made you second-guess your voice is loosening its grip. And beneath all of it, what's emerging isn't a new version of you, it's the oldest one, the truest one. The self that existed before the world told you who to be. This is why your gifts feel closer now, why your intuition is sharper, why your sense of what matters is crystal clear. The universe has been stripping away everything false, so what's real can finally breathe. You are not becoming someone else, you are remembering someone ancient, someone eternal, someone who has always been there, quietly waiting for the right time to step forward. Authenticity isn't about adding more, it's about removing what was never yours to carry. And now is the unveiling. The moment the curtain lifts, your life won't suddenly look like everyone else's because it was never meant to. The things that make you unique, the visions you see, the depth you feel, the truths you sense before others, those are no longer burdens. They are signals. They are callings. They are the proof that you are ready to stop hiding and start shining. The unveiling isn't dramatic. It doesn't come with fanfare. It comes with a quiet knowing, a steady pulse in your chest that says, "This is who I've been all along." And when you finally step into that truth, everything else begins to rearrange itself around you. Because when the chosen one stops pretending, the entire world has to take notice. Control is an illusion. Alignment is the truth. One of the hardest lessons for the chosen ones is learning to let go. You've been trained to grip the steering wheel of life so tightly that your knuckles turn white, thinking if you don't hold on, everything will fall apart. But the deeper truth is this: the more you try to control every outcome, the more resistance you create. And resistance is what keeps you stuck. Trusting the process means surrendering, not in weakness, but in wisdom. It's understanding that what looks like a delay is often divine timing. What looks like a detour is often a correction. And what feels like a setback is really just a setup for something greater than you could have planned for yourself. Setbacks are not punishments, they are preparations. Think about the seasons of your life. There were times when doors closed so suddenly it left you breathless. Relationships ended. Opportunities slipped away. Things you thought you couldn't live without were taken from you. At the time, it felt cruel, almost unbearable. But if you look back now with clearer eyes, you can see it. Every ending was clearing the space for something better, something more aligned. Trusting the process means realizing that you are not meant to carry the entire weight of your future on your shoulders. You are a co-creator with the universe. Your role is to take the inspired step that is right in front of you. The universe's role is to move the mountains you cannot. But too often, chosen ones exhaust themselves trying to move mountains instead of taking the single step they were meant to take. Your only job is the step. The universe will handle the path. Imagine walking through thick fog at dawn. You can only see a few feet ahead. You don't know exactly where the path turns. You can't see the destination, but every time you take a step forward, more of the path becomes visible. That's how the process works. The fog doesn't lift until you begin moving. And this is where trust comes in. Trust doesn't mean sitting still. Trust doesn't mean waiting forever. Trust means moving with faith, even when you can't see more than 2 steps ahead. Because the truth is, you don't need to see the entire staircase to begin the climb. You just need to believe that each step is leading you where you were always meant to be. This is the paradox of surrender. The more you let go of control, the more power you actually gain. Because power isn't about forcing outcomes, it's about flowing with them. And when you flow with life instead of against it, you stop feeling like a victim of chaos and start feeling like a partner in creation. Trust is not passive. It is the most powerful action you can take. So breathe, loosen your grip, step forward into the fog with faith. The path is already there, waiting for you to trust it. You were never powerless, only waiting for the right moment to remember your strength. Every chosen one has walked through seasons of silence, where the fire inside seemed dim, almost forgotten. Not because it wasn't there, but because it was being guarded, preserved for the time when you would be ready to carry it fully. That time is no longer distant. That time is now. Your inner power is not something given to you from the outside. It isn't handed down by authority, it doesn't depend on titles, and it doesn't rely on recognition. It was built into you from the beginning, woven into your very essence. Think of it like an ancient seed buried deep in the soil of your soul, waiting for the precise conditions to sprout. That seed has been watered by your struggles, warmed by your persistence, and hardened by every storm you survived. And today, it begins to crack open. Power doesn't arrive, it awakens. This awakening doesn't come with trumpets or flashing lights. It shows itself in subtle but undeniable ways. You may notice synchronicities stacking up, numbers, symbols, chance encounters that feel too aligned to be random. Your intuition begins to sharpen, speaking louder and clearer than before. You feel creative sparks igniting without effort, ideas flowing to you in moments of stillness, inspiration striking as if whispered by the universe itself. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. They are reminders that your energy is shifting from dormant to active, from hidden to visible. You are no longer a vessel waiting to be filled, you are overflowing. And when the chosen ones overflow, the world changes. But here is the truth many overlook. This power is not just for you. It was never meant to be hoarded or locked away. The chosen carry their strength not as a crown, but as a torch that lights the way for others stumbling in the dark, a torch that ignites dormant seeds in those around you, giving them the courage to awaken too. Your power is not a weapon, it is a lighthouse. And with power comes responsibility. The responsibility to rise above selfish gain. The responsibility to use your voice, your intuition, your creativity, not to dominate, but to elevate. Because when you act from alignment, the ripples spread farther than you will ever see. One word, one action, one choice can shift not only your own destiny, but the destiny of countless others connected to you in ways you cannot yet comprehend. This is the activation of your inner power. It does not make you untouchable, it makes you undeniable. It does not separate you from the world, it binds you to it with purpose. It does not inflate your ego, it awakens